Alright, so once my edit is organized the way I like it, I know I'm not going to be rearranging any clips. I now have it color corrected. The next step I usually take is I start sound designing. Now, audio is probably the thing I see neglected most often when it comes to creating videos or films, but the audio is half of the viewing experience, so it's super important that you don't neglect your audio. So in this video, we're going to talk about how to sound design or add sounds to your video to make it feel like you're actually there, not just visually, but audibly as well. So I like to start from the very beginning and just start watching back my video. And as I watch, I'm thinking, okay, what kind of sounds would I be hearing if I was there right now? I'd probably be hearing some birds chirping, maybe the wind coming through the trees. But before I start putting in some of my own sound effects, first I'm going to turn back on the audio that came out of my camera and see if it's worth using. And the audio is actually in slow-mo because the video is also in slow-mo, so I'm going to push U to disconnect it from the video, and then push J to bring it to 100%. Now let's listen to it. And you can even turn off your music right now so you can hear what your audio is doing by itself. And all I'm hearing in the background is babies talking and my footsteps on the ground. So it's not very good audio, so we're not going to be using the native audio. And in most of these clips, I'm not going to be using any of the native audio. I'm going to be sound designing, which means putting fake sounds on top of the visuals that weren't actually captured on set. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete that audio. Now I have thousands of sound effects that I've collected over the years. And after this video, I'm gonna be giving you guys a link where you can download thousands of free sound effects, just like the ones I'm using here, along with my 20 favorite slow motion sound effects, and I'll show you how I utilize all of these sounds in this video. So first thing, I'm going to drag in this forest steady breeze through trees clip because I know I've used this a lot and I know it's probably going to sound right. And let's listen to that now. So that sounds pretty good. Now let's listen to it with the music. Now this bird at the beginning is kind of loud and you can kind of see where it gets loud right there in the waveform. So I'm going to actually cut and delete that part and just start it right here and fade it in with Command T. Now let's listen to that. Okay, I like that sound better, but the sound effect is overpowering my music. So we're going to come in here to my decibel level and just bring that down. Let's try -9. Might be a little quiet, somewhere in the middle, about -6. So play with the decibel levels until you feel like it sounds well. And I'd highly recommend getting some good headphones or studio monitors for you to be able to hear the sound well. These are Bose headphones and these are KRK Rocket monitors that I use that allow me to hear the sounds clearly and know if I'm mixing them well. So let's listen to that one more time. Okay, it's sounding pretty good, but it still feels a little bit empty to me. So what we're gonna do is add some more sound effects to make it feel even more full. So let's come back in here to my sound effects and let's maybe add a forest stream and see how that sounds. We'll just turn that down a little bit and let that play in the background. So it's barely audible now, but I like to add as many audio layers as I can to make the sound feel more full and rich. So we'll leave that on there for now. And let's come in and find another one. Maybe let's find a wind sound. And like I said, I have a bunch of sound effects in my Finder. So I just type in a specific keyword and then I can see a bunch of sound effects that come up with wind in it. And then I'll listen to them. Find one I like, and I always like to drag a copy of the sound effect I like into a folder called sound within my BAMP folder so that I know all of the footage is with the sound as well, so I know where to find it if I ever come back to this project. And then from there I'll drag that sound effect in, see how that sounds. Way too loud, turn it down. And then I'll toggle it on and off to see what difference it's making. So I'm just listening back and adjusting these sound levels until I feel like it sounds realistic without drowning out the music. Alright, so that opening clip sounds pretty good to me. Let's move on to our next clip. And again, I'm going to detach this audio, put it to 100%, and listen to it, see how it sounds. And turn off the other ones to listen to just this, see how it sounds. And again, we got people talking in the background and babies crying, so not going to use that sound. Now, if I wanted to get really in depth, I might add in some footsteps. So let's pull up footsteps here, and then try and find a footstep that sounds right. These dirt steps sound pretty good, so bring those in. And then you'd have to match up every footstep with his footstep. So I'm going to cut these up like so. And let's find his first footstep right there. Very nice. Find his second footstep right there. And so on. Now let's play it back, listen to it. Footsteps line up pretty well, but they are a little too loud. Let's try -8. That sounds better. So we'll bring the rest of these down to -8 as well. Now let's turn on the music, see how it sounds.
The woods are quiet in this part of town.
Sound a little too loud still. Let's try -13.
The woods are quiet in this part of
It's a little better.
The woods are quiet in this part of town.
So personally, I like the sound effects to be very subtle, so be careful not to make these sound effects too loud. Now for these first 3 clips, they're mostly just nature shots, and so I think we can leave all these other sound effects there as the same. But this 4th shot, we're down by the lake, so I think I'm going to add some water sound effect to this one. So let's come back into here, listen to my lake waves coming in. That sounds good to me. Let's pop that in here. So let's see how that sounds. And sometimes I like to have the sound effect come in before the visual as a way of leading the viewer into the next shot. But maybe not quite that much. So we'll put that loud part right when the clip changes. Very nice. And then cut that. And then fade it out, and you can fade it out by just dragging this little keyframe here like so. And that will fade the audio out. Now let's play with the music.
The woods are silent, we are all alone.
Probably a little too loud. Let's bring that down, -6.
The woods are silent, we are all alone.
Now, I like the first wave being kind of loud to transition this clip, but I want the rest to be a little bit quieter. So I'm going to push K to create a keyframe here, and then another one here. And I'm going to raise this side up, and then let it slowly die back down to 9. So let's try that.
The woods are silent, we are all alone.
And we'll fade this out a little bit more over time, like so. And I don't like this bird chirping at the end here. At least not that loud. So let's create a keyframe there.
The trees surround
Next shot is a flag waving in the wind, and I have one specifically for that called a flag. So we'll pull this guy in, see how that sounds.
the trees surround
And again, I'm going to have that first flap come in on the cut here.
the trees surrounding
So I
us.
use the sound to help transition my audience from one clip to another.
The trees surrounding us will be.
A little bit loud, just turn it down, -4.
The trees surrounding us will.
Now this specific sound effect isn't long enough for my clip, so I'm just going to cut it and duplicate it, and then a 3rd time so that it will continue over the length of the clip.
The trees surrounding us will be our home. Follow the
Very nice. There's a little bit too much of a gap in between these, so let's just tighten that up here. Now my wind blowing through the trees clip is now ended, so what I'm going to do is duplicate this because I like that continuing on here. But we're on the lake now, so again we want to bring back some sound of the water. So we'll copy and paste our lake audio over here. Again, make that first wave come in on the cut.
follow the river down a trail of stone.
Now I'm going to turn down my bird chirping because we're on the water. We're probably not going to hear birds chirping as well out there. So get that down. So that's the basic process for how I sound design. Again, I make as many layers as I think are appropriate and will add to the ambience and help the viewer feel like they're actually there. Now let me show you one example of using actual audio from a clip. Let's unlink this guy, bring it to 100%. And I bring it to 100% so that it's real-time audio and not slow-mo audio. But if we listen back to this clip, we got some baby crying here. Let's see how that sounds.
She don't like it.
So I might want to add that cry in there because we can see her crying and it might add to it to see the baby crying. But let's turn that down. Okay, good. Let's turn it down a little more. Put the music over top, see how it sounds. Let's also extend this lake clip here.
We're growing feathers, now we're letting go.
Can't really hear it, so let's turn it up a little bit. -10.
We're growing feathers, now we're letting go.
Very nice. So now we're reaching a new part of the song. We hear this boom. So to accentuate that boom, I'm going to add a whoosh noise to help lead us in to this next clip. So I'm going to pull in my 20 slow-mo sound effects, and I'm going to put the peak of that whoosh sound to be the transition between these two clips, and let's listen to that. Okay, that one happens a little too fast. Let's try maybe this one over here. Yeah, I like that. So listen to this with and without my whoosh sound. This is without. And this is with. So you can just see how it adds a little bit more oomph getting you into that next clip. Now I see a lot of people use these slow-mo sound effects and they're usually too loud, so make sure you turn that down if it's overpowering your music. So that's it guys, that is how I sound design. I will continue that process until the very end, and that will add a lot to the viewing experience, helping the viewer feel like they're actually there experiencing it for themselves. So that's it. If you guys have any further question about sound designing, please let me know.